Charlie Kirk had such an enormous impact in so many different ways, but as an entrepreneur especially, I think that he had some really unique things to speak to young people about the role of an entrepreneur. I've got a couple of videos, and one of these was actually recorded pretty soon before he passed away. And I think it would be really good for you to watch this together with me, and we can discuss. Sounds good. Sounds like a good plan.
So being an entrepreneur, what is the biggest reward so far for you? Just what have you enjoyed the most?
Look, we've been incredibly successful financially, and I'm super blessed by that. Our podcast is doing really well, our radio show, our social media. It's not the money. It's the journey. I know that sounds like so cliche, like put that on a bumper sticker, but it's the memories that we've created, kind of the can you believe how far we've come? Yeah. People say that you can't have this kind of a restaurant or you can't have this kind of thing. Like, well, maybe you can. Is there a better? And that is what an entrepreneur at its core is, a problem solver against the tide. The greatest reward, I'd have to say, is just seeing the journey and seeing obviously some of the lives impacted along the way.
So the idea of the journey is critically important. And so many people, I think, are on the fence about entrepreneurship. They don't know if they should even step into it because it feels like, well, I've got skills in a particular area, so maybe that I could create value. But I think that we've been told for so long that people who own companies are bad or that they are greedy. And there is some of that in our society. There are definitely businesses that don't really create a lot of value and are really about the money piece. But I think the thing that we have to remember is that the journey is part of value creation. It is this idea that I get to go out and figure out how to solve problems, like Charlie was saying. The people around me get an opportunity to take part in that. They get a chance to grow. They get a chance to be compensated for their work, to create value as well. That's what being a catalyst is. That's what being an agent for change or an agent of change in society is all about. I think that at its core is the elements of the journey that they're talking about. Let's talk specifically about mission statement and the vision that the founder brings to the business. I think that there's some really important things to consider here, and I think Charlie nails this.
Building a brand that will last and that will be durable, it needs to be connected towards the founder's energy and vision. One of the hardest things for an entrepreneur, and we have not done this successfully yet, is separating the brand from the founder. It's very, very hard. I'm not convinced you have to do that, though. The kind of doctrinaire corporate approach is, well, I'm a private equity investor and we're investing in this restaurant and we need to make sure it's not too reliant on the founder. I get that, but honestly, I don't think that's necessary.
I don't either.
In fact, I think it actually might be unhealthy if that entrepreneur is the face on social media, is the one that could best describe it, that can best sell it to investors and to bankers and to future customers.
For sure.
Right? I think that there is an inescapable bond between the entrepreneur and the brand that I think that far too often the experts in the corporate world want to try to separate. And I actually don't think that should happen as much.
Businesses need to be able to run without the founder's direct involvement. You don't want to be involved in every decision in every day-to-day piece. And if you look at some of the people that were around Charlie, helping him to run his business, he had incredible people around him that he hired and empowered. His vision for what he wanted to accomplish was so clear and so potent. It had this effect all throughout his organization. People need to know that you're heading towards something, that there's a mission that is bigger than just making money. And I think that if you take the mindset of, hey, we're building this thing to sell, it's gonna be great, like it ends up just being about the founder's wallet.
Yeah.
Right?
And that goes back to the first point too,
yeah.
Especially. And I think when you remove the founder's vision from the brand, you lose that vision over time, especially.
Right. I think in this next clip, the moral of the story that I think Charlie is trying to communicate, he really nails, is the idea that your customer journey should be so good that you would go through that customer journey yourself, right? That you would eat your own food, that it would be great. And so the lived experience of what it means to be a customer is something that you would actually want to partake in. So
absolutely.
Let's look at this clip.
So as far as like sustaining the brand though, you want to try to be ahead of it, right? And this is where I think founders and entrepreneurs should never be disconnected from the lived experience of what you are trying to actually present forward. And so that means you guys should continually make sure you are eating the food that you are serving to make sure that it's still good.
It's the greatest way to do it.
I'm sure you teach your entrepreneurs and your managers all the time. How do I apply this to my life or to us? I make our event managers go as attendees to our own events for a couple hours. Go sit in the chair. Is the audio good? Is the acoustics good? Are they getting into the room quickly? Is it too hot? You know, like you have to,
all of it.
You have to go through that kind of lived experience, and nothing gets close to the actual like tangible living through sitting in the booth at the restaurant. It is very tempting when I receive negative feedback to do two things: to either take it personally or to dismiss it. It took time for me to be like, look, great opportunity to be better. But it takes time. It takes mentorship. And that's, again, going from good to great.
Yeah, it is.
Good to great, you look at feedback as an opportunity to upgrade and to turbocharge, not just to either get bitter or to dismiss and act as if nothing is wrong. You have to use prudence and wisdom to know, like, okay, this is just a person that literally complains for a living, right? Yeah. They want a free meal. They want a free airline ticket. But there's also, you could tell somebody that writes like a very thoughtful letter, you know, I was ignored a couple times, this and that, like, okay, you know, this is something that we need to take care of for sure.
I've struggled sometimes with feedback. Sometimes when you get feedback, it does feel like it's personal. And yet at the same time too, when you actually look at it through a lens of prudence, you start to realize that like we are imperfect people. The entrepreneurship journey is sometimes really hard because you feel like you're at the pinnacle one moment and then you're at the bottom going like, wow, we suck. I love the fact that Turning Point has their people sit in the audience like a member of the audience, because otherwise you don't know if the sound is like causing people's ears to bleed, right?
Yeah.
And in my own business too, I think that, you know, we try to go through that process of what is the customer journey. And I remember in a services marketing class back in grad school at Texas A&M, there was this quote that we really need to make sure that we're leaving clues. Do they go to our website? Do they have an experience where the website loads quickly? Do they have a quick experience of understanding who we are and what we do? Do they have an easy way of transmitting information to us? Do they have an easy way of getting a hold of us? Like all those different points of the customer journey have to be thought through. And those clues are things that we can manage as the business leader. Sometimes, you know, you're constrained by resources. You can do it within your control, what you do have control of, to make that experience the best it possibly can be.
Absolutely. Right? I do also want to like share the key point of him saying going from good to great, especially. Some people are going to just do a living off of complaining.
Sure.
Like he mentioned. But seeing it as going from good to great, seeing how you can modify things to do better for others, especially, I think that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%.